So last weekend I went to 66 Books in Hemel Hempstead, which is a book warehouse which is normally for trade, but 2 weekends a week they make the warehouse available to the general public. Well, you have to go there and line up and register and whatnot, and you get to buy books at a steep discount. On Monday, after this video comes out, I am going to be releasing a vlog as a short talking about my time there, so hit that subscribe button if you want to see that. But today we're going to be talking about and going through the books that I picked up. But before we do that, I want to give my initial impressions of 66 Books. Okay, so getting 70% off books is incredible. Of course I would say go and get 70% off books. That's amazing, saving that much money on books if you're going to buy the books anyway. Yeah, of course you would do that. But I would say, and they made this very clear there as well, so there was no surprises. They said, listen, we don't have the newest releases. We might not have the most popular books because many of the popular books are picked up by the trade people who come during the week. So yeah, that makes complete sense. And they were also like, look, we are a warehouse. We are only open to you guys 2 weekends a week. This is my interjection, being like, probably so they can clear out some of the books that clearly aren't being picked up by the trade industry. And so you can't return your books because you're on a 70% discount. And there is loads of books for you to pick up. My initial impressions were very impressed by the children's book selection. There was loads. Very impressed by the number of classics available. There was like a whole row of shelves where there was just classics, so you can pick those up there. I don't really pick up many classics, but that's because I now have an e-reader where I can basically read them for free legally. And also, I would say if you're looking for more left-wing political books, you're not going to get too many. There were some. There's an upstairs where there's loads of books and multiple copies of each book, and there's a downstairs which I think is basically stock overflow, where you'll pick up a single copy of a book there. Maybe they don't have many left and they just put them all downstairs for you to get up. The upstairs, much nicer than the downstairs. The downstairs, I did pick up 1 or 2 books, but again, there was like 1 copy of those books and I just saw it as I was walking past the shelf. So you're not necessarily going to be getting a lot of left-wing books there. It's a pretty liberal kind of books you'll get there. Some very mainstream books. They have the very beautiful classics, the covers of those. People were just flocking to them. And there's some reference books, some non-fiction, but it's mostly kind of fiction. There was a lot of hardbacks as well, but I don't really like a hardback because I like throwing my books in a bag and taking them somewhere with me. But those were my initial impressions. Again, if you can go, it's 70% off. Of course I would say go. But anyway, let's get to the books that I picked up. Oh, also they gave me this box to take my books in, which was great because I took a box myself and I also took a tote bag. I was like, oh, I'll just put them all in the tote bag and put it in the box of my car. But they gave me this, so I put it right into my car, like this. Okay, to get them out of the way, I got some children's books for my niece and nephew. Well, now thinking about it, I think my nephew's a little old for these, so they'll mostly be for my niece. He's not old, he's just very good at reading for his age, so I think these might be more for my niece. But, look a little ducky. And Bing, I love Bing. I also had an interview to work for the people who own Bing. Clearly didn't get the job, or else I would still be there because Bing pays the big bucks, baby!
Here comes the money!
Oh, also as a brief aside, there's other things that aren't books there as well. You can get notebooks, stickers, stationery. There's even pop figures. There's this Ojama pop figure, which I saw, which if you don't know, it's a Yu-Gi-Oh character. I was gonna buy it for one of my cousins, and I was like, this is too unsettling. Even for he and I, we're a bit strange. It's too unsettling, Zoom in on this. That's what I'm talking to myself. Zoom in. Zoom. See how unsettling he is? See? So yeah, I didn't pick that up, but it would have been 70% off. So I got 12 books, not including the 2 children's books I got for my niece and nephew, so we'll go through them in no particular order, it's just the order I've taken them out of the box. Probably not going to go in a lot of depth on these, but you know, we'll talk about them. First up is Akala's Natives. I'll be honest, I was worried I already had this book, but I clearly didn't. I think I've just read a different Akala book. This is one I've been wanting to read for quite a while. I think I saw it in my library, so I was considering picking it up from my library the next time I went, but then I saw it and I was like, well, I might as well get 70% off. If you're not from the UK, Akala is like a... would I say civil rights? Not civil rights, but you know, he is a sociologist type guy who talks about race relations in the UK, particularly race relations with BAME, Black Asian ethnic minority ethnic groups in the UK and in relation to politics and stuff. He's very much the bane of Tommy Robinson's life, which is nice to see. So he's also like a poet, I think actor. You know, he does a lot. He does a lot of stuff. So yeah, I've been wanting to read this. I've read one of his other books. I can't remember off the top of my head, but yeah, I've been wanting to read Natives for a while. Next is the tomb that is Vikram Seth's A Suitable Boy. I have not read this. I think I've had my eye on this since I started working in a bookshop in 2016. My uncle, who isn't a prolific reader, has read this, and I know they turned it into this says here, now a major BBC drama. I remember when the BBC drama came out. I never watched it, but I've been wanting to read it since, and look at that. That's well over 1,000 pages. This is a book where I'm either going to read it over a long time, or I'm going to find 1 month where this is the only book I read. Doesn't seem very conducive to being a booktube channel if I'm only going to read 1 book in a month, but it's going to go next to Anna Karenina, and I think I've got The Count of Monte Cristo as well as like the tombs I need to get through. But I think this is even longer than those 2 books. But yeah, it's a tomb. I've also loved this cover. Like, I just love the colors used. So I hope it's good. I really do. Up next is The New India by Rahul Bhatia. This is one of the books I found in the downstairs section, so the ones where there's only like 1 copy of a book, maybe 2, and it's a bit dingy. It's kind of the books I think they're like, okay, we just need to make space for the books we know are going to sell a lot upstairs, or the ones that are slightly less popular. I'll be honest, I was just walking past this and I saw The New India, and I was worried when I looked. I said, oh, this is going to be like a neoliberal book about, you know, India's economic rise and whatnot, and its exploitation, like making like the exploitation of Indians to be a good thing. But no, it is about how India is becoming more and more right-wing and fascist, and it's got a review by Arundhati Roy. So if Arundhati Roy has left a review on a book, I'm probably going to pick it up because it's Arundhati Roy. Of course I'm going to. So this is one I'm actually looking forward to reading. I might bump it up in my reading list. It might be like a summer one, but I wasn't supposed to be buying any books this year. I really wasn't. I was supposed to keep through my backlog, man. Up next is Mountains of Fire by Clive Oppenheimer. I don't believe there's any relation to the Oppenheimer. Look, it's a book about volcanoes. I'm not a geology guy. However, Werner Herzog, I remember when I saw this name, Clive Oppenheimer, I'm like, wait, where have I heard that? Clive Oppenheimer is a geologist, and I know of him because he was in a Werner Herzog documentary about volcanoes, and he has a whole thing. I think he was talking about, I think he might have freshly been a geologist at this point, or a volcanologist. I think that's the correct word. He's a fresh one at this point. I think he's just like graduated with his volcanology thing, and now he's got a book. So I was like, well, you know, I saw you in the Werner Herzog movie, so you know what, I'll pick up your book, dude. I want to see the baby. That was a Russian accent, not Werner Herzog. We move on to Cormac McCarthy's Child of God. I'll be honest, I picked up this Cormac McCarthy book, I put it in my basket, and then sometime afterwards when I saw other classics, I was like, oh wait, I can probably just get that book as a PDF or as an EPUB legally. I could potentially get Cormac McCarthy as a legal EPUB, but I was like, it's at the bottom of my basket and I don't want to take it out now, so I'm just gonna keep it. You know, I don't mind Cormac McCarthy. I've read The Road and I've read No Country for Old Men. I like No Country for Old Men quite a bit, but also that's because I've watched the movie and I really like the movie as well, so yeah, I don't... Maybe I'm a little bit biased because of the movies, but you know, I'll check it out. It's not a long book either, so... Watch No Country for Old Men is the takeaway you get from this. Now, this was a book I wasn't expecting to see. It is Martin Luther King's A Gift of Love. So it is, you know, a book written by Martin Luther King. I wasn't expecting it. It was the first book I actually picked up and put in my basket, I believe. I know next to it there was an autobiography or biography of Martin Luther King, and also Malcolm X's autobiography, the one that basically everyone has read. But there weren't more like civil rights activists books around, at least where these two books were. Again, I think that's kind of where I was like, okay, there's not going to be too many left-wing books, I think, here. But, you know, pleasant surprise to see Martin Luther King there. You can barely see his name, can you? You can barely see the text. And you know, it's me. I had to pick up a Japanese author's book. I picked up The Housekeeper and the Professor by Yoko Ogawa. I don't know anything about Yoko Ogawa. I really liked the cover. I do now see that the Los Angeles Times has said, has all the charm and restraint of any novel by Ishiguro and the whimsy of Murakami. So I'm a bit, Murakami, what's going on here? But I read the blurb seemed pretty interesting, you know. And again, like, I got 70% off the book, so I paid £1.50 or something for it. You know, it's different. It's like books where I would probably see them in a bookshop and be like, A Suitable Boy was £15 full price. I don't know what 75% of that is, but it's less than £5. Yeah, it's definitely less than £5. Yeah, definitely less than £5. Yeah. Someone comment down below how much that actually is. But, you know, books where I was like, I don't know if I'd pick that up full price. I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. I'll pick it up. It's like £1. So that's how they get you. That's how they get you, guys. Next up is the second and only other book I believe I got from the downstairs section, which is Saeed Varsi's, or Baroness Varsi's, Muslims Don't Matter. Listen, Saeed Varsi is, at the end of the day, I believe, a Tory peer. So, you know, I'm gonna take this with a pinch of salt. I did see Riz Ahmed's name, and I was like, I know Saeed Varsi, I know Baroness Varsi, not personally, but I know her, and I'm like, I'm a bit iffy on buying the book. And I saw Riz Ahmed had written on a review for it. I was like, you know what, let me pick it up, see what she actually says, you know, intersectionality and all that. But yeah, I'm a bit skeptical just because she's a Tory, but we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. I don't think I'm gonna learn much new because I'm a pretty well informed person. Like, I will keep up with the news and stuff on this kind of stuff, but it'll be interesting to see how Baroness Varsi kind of talks about it. Okay, we rocketed through those books. This is the last book I picked up, and I think I did one final sweep of the store to be like, let me see if there's anything else I want. I could have probably not picked this up, but it is A Brief History of the English Civil War. This is kind of like, I feel like would be one of those stocking filler books you'd buy for your uncle who is really into history, and you're like, I don't know what to buy for him, and then you see this, and there was like a couple books like this all together, and you were like, I don't know what to get for Uncle John. Oh, Uncle John likes history, let's buy him this kind of generic book on the English Civil War. I picked it up because I actually realized my knowledge of English history post Henry VIII and pre-Crimean War, Crimean War, is very empty. English and British history between that period, I don't really know, because when I studied history all the way up to A-level, I just didn't cover that. You know, I kind of got up until, and I think this was deliberate, by the way, so we didn't have to, you know, learn the horrors of colonialism in depth. But like, we kind of got up to the Tudors, then we swapped to like American chattel slavery, and then it was Crimean War up until, well, the Cold War, really, is what I learned. So, yeah. So I thought, you know what, let me just inform myself with this Unk book. Again, the English, you know, it's an Unk book because it's got a glossy cover, you know. This is one I was actually really interested in, and I'm an odd about it just because I think it might be a little bit out of date, but it is Blood and Oil by Bradley Hope and Justin Sheck. I'll be honest, I didn't look up these two because I don't really have service in there, so I don't know. Like, obviously, I don't listen. I'm gonna be a buck. I'm gonna keep it a buck. I don't like Saudi Arabia, but I don't like Saudi Arabia for like not racist reasons. You know, other people don't like Saudi Arabia for racist Islamophobic reasons. I don't like them because their export of Wahhabism and their allegiance to the United States and Israel and betrayal of the Muslim like global community. That's why I don't like them. I don't know why these two might not like them, but it's basically about Mohammed bin Salman's rise to power and kind of how you know, maybe violent it has been, and maybe the diversification of their economy and stuff. But it is, I think, was maybe published around 2020, so it's been about 4 or 5 years probably since this book came out, and a lot of developments have happened regarding Saudi Arabia. I mean, in particular, the past 6 months, not even 6 months, the past 3-4 months, there's been a lot of developments. But yeah, this is one that's quite interesting, but I am a little bit worried it might be a bit out of date. We are on our penultimate book, and it is this beautiful vintage edition of Dr. No. I'll be honest, I've not read a Bond book. Actually, I read the young Bond books, but I've not read any of Ian Fleming's Bond books. Look how beautiful this edition is. There was one other book in this style. I think it was a John B. something. I think the American author, John. I can't remember. If I can find the name, I'll put it. But this, I'll be honest, I was infatuated with the cover. Initially, I was like, this is 2 books in one, maybe, but it's not. It's just the Dr. No book. But it's a nice cover, and also it was already relatively cheap. Relatively to how books are pretty cheap. Full price. I believe with the discount it's probably less than £1. However, I'm now thinking, and I'm not very good at maths, and I think I've done the maths wrong in my head, but it's probably more than £1. Yeah, it's definitely more. My maths is awful, so whatever 70% off £6 is, it's that, but my maths is horrendous. So I can't help, you know what, whatever, you know? But look, I just really loved this cover. And to wrap up the books we bought, it is Mario Puzo's The Godfather. I'll be honest, this is a book where I'm like, I would never buy this. I would not buy this book myself. I would just not buy The Godfather. I've watched The Godfather. I love The Godfather. Godfather 2 as well is great. I just wouldn't buy the book full price. And so I saw it and I was like, okay, I'm getting a hefty discount on it. I might, you know, I'll pick it up. Hey, you come to my house the night of my daughter's wedding. I'm a shrew. That's a Zootopia reference for you guys, by the way. Yeah? Don't watch Disney movies if you are pirate them. But those are all the books that I picked up. Let me know the one that I picked up that you think I should like start with. Which ones are the ones I picked up you have read? Which ones do you think I picked up and you're like, oh buddy, you might have messed up picking that up. So yeah, let me know if you are in if you can get to Hemel Hempstead quite easily, or you can plan out ahead getting to Hemel Hempstead, and you're someone who just wants to like see the books or make it as a day out, you know. I went on my own, but I came back and I told, you know, members of my family, hey, next time I'm thinking of going, let's all go as a group. We can make a day out of it. If we want, we can go to Hemel Hempstead afterwards, or the surrounding area. You know, it's very nice there. And there was there's like a coffee cart outside, but I walked past the coffee person was inside there, went and put my books in my car, went back to get a coffee, and they weren't there anymore. So I think they'd probably gotten their break in the time that I walked past and went back. It's very busy seemingly in the mornings, so but by the time it got to around 3 p.m. when I was leaving, there was no one in line. I know they are open until 6 p.m. I don't know when final entrance is, but I think it's from like 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. the days they do the open to public stuff. Obviously the trading hours for the trade industry, the book industry, is probably different, but for the public it is, I don't know, 8 to 6 p.m. But when I got there it was around midday, so it was quite busy. I was in line for maybe 30 minutes before getting in, so, and it was hot, so I'd recommend maybe taking water or something with you. But yeah, I enjoyed myself. I had a good time. It was surrounded by books, you know, people who like books. It is quite cramped. I don't know how accessible I would say it is. I mean, there was 2 individuals, I believe, in motorized wheelchairs, and they managed to get around. Because I think they must have enough accessibility, because I bumped into them on the upstairs. Not physically bumped into them, but you know what I mean. They were on the upstairs, so there must be some form of accessibility, which is good. But some of the rows are a bit narrow, but I think it must have been enough for the wheelchairs to get by, which is good. People bought their own trolleys to put books in. I just used the basket because I wasn't intending on spending too much money, but I heard the value of people's collective purchase and then the actual price that they paid, and I was like, that's outstanding. So if you kind of want to do one shop for loads of books to last you a year, you very easily could do that. You know what else you could do for a year? You could become a member. That didn't work, but anyway, my members get access to bonus videos, bonus content. They get to be part of the book club, the movie club. They're getting monthly essays from me. They are getting access to behind the scenes stuff, everything. So if you are interested, you can become a member from as little as £1 a month by hitting that join button down below or on my channel. Shout out to my members. Thank you. You guys rock. You rock, guys. And yeah, 66 books in Hemel Hempstead. This is a little bit more of a light-hearted video, but yes, check it out if you're in the area. You go on there. I went to their Instagram. They have the dates listed there. I think they're quite active on Facebook, so do with that as you will. Thank you guys for watching. Remember to like, subscribe, share this video with a friend or family member. Hey, I hope you read 66 books today. That would be a lot of books in a day, wouldn't it?